Yuji and Todo's relationship within all of JJK is honestly something that I really enjoy, due to the fact of how they are already such close friends just within the first few moments of them meeting. So I had a question. What would have happened if Yuji, instead of going to Jujutsu Tech, went to Kyoto Jujutsu High? In this video, we're going to be really talking about what could really be the implications of just moving him to the other school. What could have changed and all of the other things that would have inevitably happened if he never ended up going to Jujutsu High and everything else like that. If you guys do enjoy this actual topic and enjoy this actual idea, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, as I always say. But without further ado, let me tell you how we're actually going to get into this. So we began this strictly right after Itadori has just been knocked out by Gojo. He's just now waking up in that room where he's tied up and just everything else like that. Gojo is out here completely just telling Yuji all of everything, like what's up. He's telling him about Jujutsu High and everything else like that, and he's telling them that they want him dead, and Yuji gives that same explanation on that he wants to be able to help people, and he's gonna just eat off Sukuna's fingers, and if he dies, he dies. He doesn't care about that, and that doesn't change whatsoever. But the main thing that does change is Jujutsu High wants nothing to do with him. They don't want any kind of burden of having to deal with Sukuna's vessel on their premises whatsoever. Gojo obviously finds this extremely annoying, but he knows he still has at least one option, and that's exactly how I'm going to end up doing this. So he ends up having to go talk to the higher ups at Kyoto High and having to talk to a few higher ups entirely, and eventually is able to get Yuji into Kyoto High extremely reluctantly. Him and Yuji go the same way that they did, and they go over there to just get the interview process out the way. And obviously, they dislike Yuji more than anything else, especially the principal for Kyoto High. So it's already going to be a very big hassle, and Gojo already knows this, but Yuji has to go somewhere. Yuji has to go somewhere. He has to be put somewhere to be even thought about doing anything else like that. So they know they're basically just going to have to suck it up and take him to let him actually eat all Sukuna's fingers and then kill him then. So they at least have to pretend for the moment that they're going to be even putting up with this, listening to this whatsoever. That's what they do. Gojo enters, they do their interview, and the interview goes as you would expect. They're really just trying to make sure that he doesn't get in, but at least still know that he has to get in. But the way that I would actually have this go out is Todo, for some unknown, ungodly reason, just says, you know what? I want to know what's going on. So he pops his way inside and automatically hits him with a, you know what? Those aren't the questions that you should be asking. None of these questions are important. None of these questions matter. The only question that matters is, what kind of women do you like? And they end up having the same entire conversation about, oh yeah, Jennifer Lawrence and things like that. And just doesn't really go any farther than that. As soon as they have that really like full conversation the same way that they did in canon, they automatically, like Todo automatically like gets that kinship to actual Yuji. They get that kinship automatically, and he's automatically just like, me best friend, and going like, my best friend, and things like that, and just automatically talking and automatically going like, let him in, 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 let him in. And Gojo automatically cuts. I would probably start going like, yeah, let him in, let him in, let him in. And I could honestly see that happening. And eventually they would kind of have to be forced to let him in, because it's going to be more of the things like, I would be more surprised that probably Todo would just be going like, yeah, let him in, or I go with him, and things like that. And they would actually be surprised about that. Obviously, they just met, and so it's extremely confusing, but they would be forced to let him in. Like, no questions, no hesitation. They would be forced to let Yuji in. And afterwards, I would probably see it going mostly kind of similar, but now that Yuji has obviously like Todo and Mai to actually help him out with, and Todo making sure that nothing happens to Yuji whatsoever. So even if anybody else from Kyoto High would even try to do anything to Yuji and go even look in Yuji's direction, trying to do anything nefarious towards him, because we know the principal's going to at least be trying to do that. Todo will always be right there to step in and everything else like that. And so since they meet this much earlier, I honestly feel like their friendship would obviously grow extremely high and get that real best friend brotherly relationship extremely quicker. And I honestly would see that Todo and Gojo being able to help Yuji actively learn cursed energy and cursed techniques like way better, to the point that him and Todo are already able to make that actual like full playthrough with each other, where they're able to really just get those moves and orchestrate it with each other, and Yuji and Todo being able to actively work very perfectly well in unison, just being able to get those move sets together and everything else like that. Obviously, without him being at actual like Jujutsu Tech, there's no reason for him to meet like Nobara or have any more contact with Megami for at least a little while. So at least all of that is not going to really bother changing much. So because that doesn't really involve him whatsoever, so it doesn't really matter there. But obviously things that probably might either stay the same would be the prison incident. They would probably still send Yuji off to that prison incident, but Todo would be going along with him, along with Mai. And the only reason that they're still sending them in there is because, well, obviously, he needs to die. They want him dead, so they know, kill him, kill him, kill him, kill him, just automatically kill him. They're not even thinking about anything else. So I would honestly see it being more along the lines of, okay, there isn't really much needing to do, because at this point, Yuji has an actual understanding of cursed energy and cursed techniques even way faster, because Todo was actually able to help Yuji understand it fairly easily and actually way quicker than anything else would have been able to. Gojo's still coming around every now and then to actually teach him, but when we actually get to this full-on like prison arc that ended up happening, this goes entirely different entirely. Todo and Yuji at this moment in time can deal with the special grade without even having to ever summon Sukuna whatsoever, without ever having to actively use Sukuna in any kind of way, because Todo, I honestly feel, could be able to take down the special grade if he needed to, and with Yuji's help, yeah, that's not going to be any kind of problematic. And even if we have it be like where Mai gets trapped or like gone somewhere else, I feel like those two would be able to deal with the special grade alone without ever having to deal with anything else, because Yuji actually knows how to use his own cursed energy and actively like do punches and everything else like that. He's not able to use like Black Flash yet, but he's at least able to do some actual decent moves. With his strength already, he's able to do some damage. So I see them being able to deal with that extremely quickly and taking Sukuna's finger and everything else like that, so that wouldn't really even be any kind of real problem. It just seems like it would really just be something way easier for him to be able to deal with. And as I wouldn't know, I don't think they would make him eat the finger right there and then, because it would probably just need to be something that they need to actually be a little more safe for. So they would hold off on making him eat the finger. So there's nothing like where he dies and kind of has to come back to life. None of that ends up ever happening. There's no need for it to happen. And so Yuji's still perfectly fine as of right now, and nothing is even going on in any kind of sort of way. They find Mai, they get out of there, and they get everything else started the same way that they would have needed to. I don't see Yuji ever having to actually meet Nanami or anything else like that, because he's already at like Jujutsu. He's not at Jujutsu Tech, and Gojo's not his automatic instructor or anything else like that, and he's not spending all of that time with actual Gojo trying to train in hiding. So there's no actual reason for me to ever actually see him meet Nanami in any kind of way. So that really just gets skipped over. I just see that maybe Nanami finds somebody else to work with and things like that, and all of that just kind of ends up happening and working out whatever it works out with. It's kind of honestly hard to tell, because I don't exactly know how that would go, but we'll leave that alone and just say most of that event still happens the same way, just not played out with Yuji in any kind of way, but oh well. But then we eventually have to obviously skip over to like the Goodwill games and like things like that, where they end up going over to Jujutsu Tech and meeting everything else like that. This time around, Yuji, when he first gets there and he pops up where he sees like Megami and actual like Nobara, this time obviously goes a little bit different. Toto's not going to automatically just go for the fight, because there's no reason for them to actually fight, and especially when he sees Yuji and Megami like just say what's up and like actually be very friendly and cordial with each other. they both know just like, yeah, it's extremely cool. Megami's happy to see Yuji because it's been a while since they've actually seen each other, specifically since everything else went down. And they at least know, okay, yeah, that's basically how this is all going to work and everything else like that. And so they say hi to each other. They become friends again, and they just actually like have a conversation with each other, not really bothering with any kind of real particular thing. And eventually they get themselves started over into the actual games and everything else like that. Obviously, this time with Yuji being not a part of Jujutsu High, there's not going to be any real reason for anything else to go along the lines of how it did in actual like originality. What I mean by that is obviously there's not going to be any need for Yuji's head to be put on as a prize. So no one's going to be even working to try taking out Yuji in any kind of way. That conversation's never going to end up happening. So it's really just going to be very, very quickly. And everyone's actually focused on everything that's supposed to be going on. Everyone's focused on what they should be doing instead of what they were told to do, and which is obviously going for Yuji and going straight for Yuji and nothing else. So the events go according to plan until they get attacked, and all of that attack thing still goes fairly similar. Most of that obviously is going to go fairly the same, but now that no one's focused on Yuji and everything else like that, everyone's actually able to congregate way quicker. So they can deal with all of the actual cursed spirits, like the cursed spirits that are around the area, fairly easily. There's no actual, like, obviously there's no cursed spirit that was already there to try taking out Yuji in the first place. There probably would have been somebody trying to do that, but that wouldn't be any kind of real factor in any kind of things like that. And with Yuji and Todo already being so well worked together, they're able to actually do way better in sense of how well they fight with each other. So that's not even a factor. That's not even whatever kind of thing that you would ever think it would be. It's just something that they know exactly what's about to happen. They know that they're going to be able to really beat this guy fairly easily. So they're not even worried whatsoever. And a good portion of any of the other events that would have ended up happening afterwards really don't, since it's anything that would have like revolved around like Jujutsu High doesn't really involve Yuji anymore. So he's basically able to chill until any actual higher events that require someone like one of those students to actively be involved to get involved into. Besides that, he's basically chilling for the most part. He doesn't have to worry about anything else besides like them trying to occasionally go after his life and everything else like that. And he probably would have been able to, in most likeliness, get to be a first grade sorcerer way quicker with Todo's recommendation, and he would have probably been able to actively just go on eating all of Sukuna's fingers one by one, dealing with anything else like that. Obviously, Megami and Nobara would have probably been struggling a lot more without Yuji specifically in a lot of those events, so they would have had a lot more hard times. But Yuji, most likely, if he wasn't at JJK, like at Jujutsu High, and wasn't involved with any of the actual things that they have to be dealing with and any of the things that they were involved with, wouldn't have been bothered so much by it. But what do you think would have happened? What do you think would have possibly portrayed in all of the events with Yuji never actively enrolling at JJK High? But tell me down in the comments, both all of that said and done. I hope that you guys did enjoy the video, but I will see you on the next one. Peace.